Hello everyone, and a very warm welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to a news cycle on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Uyi Agumofwegbe, reminding our viewers that we are on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. The Nigeria Police Force has suspended the nationwide enforcement of the tinted glass permit policy following an interim court order restraining the move. The force had announced that it would resume enforcement of the policy starting January 2nd, 2026, citing its responsibility to ensure public safety and internal security. However, in a statement, Force Public Relations Officer Benjamin Hundeyin said it was served with an interim order in a suit restraining the police from proceeding with enforcement pending the hearing and determination of the substantive suit or the vacation of the order. The first Friday of 2026 sets the tone for the year ahead as worshippers across the Federal Capital Territory gathered for Jumat's prayers, reflecting on faith, unity, and responsibility in a time of growing challenges and renewed hope. At the Central Mosque, the sermon delivered a clear message. Spiritual renewal must translate into action. Our correspondent Sadia Yakubu now reports.
The first Jumu'at of the year is more than a routine prayer. It is a moment of reset. At the Central Mosque in Abuja, worshippers listened as the Imam delivered a sermon focused on renewal, resilience, and purposeful living in the year ahead. With the festivities of the holiday season behind them, the message was firm and direct. Faith must guide conduct, decisions, and service to humanity, especially in uncertain times. The Imam reminded the congregation that a new year presents a divine opportunity to cleanse the heart, correct one's path, and recommit to righteousness. He stressed gratitude, self-reflection, and obedience to Allah as foundations for personal and collective growth.
These 12 months regarded as a year by every human being, but only that the year or the name of the year differ in accordance with the understanding of people.
Worshippers echoed the message, noting that the sermon served as a timely reminder to strengthen faith, improve character, and remain mindful of responsibilities to God and society.
Brothers and sisters in Islam, as well as our neighbors, let us know that Nigeria is our country. It is our duty to protect this country of ours, to do all what we can to make sure we coexist among ourselves.
As the prayers concluded, worshippers left with a renewed sense of purpose, determined to bring the year grounded in faith, unity, and service. Sadia Yakubu, reporting for Global Television News.
Many thanks to you, Sadia. Festivities in Abuja continue as many usually busy roads remain dry with limited vehicular movement and fewer people on the streets. Correspondent Ubong Usoro reports that many residents are still spending quality time with family and friends.
Weather can influence the mood, but in Abuja, residents remain in celebratory spirit as New Year festivities continue, resulting in dry roads across the city. Major roads and neighborhood streets across the Federal Capital Territory show reduced traffic, a clear sign of the holiday period. Speaking with Global Television, Abdurrahman Mohammed said many residents are still visiting family and friends and gathering at relaxation spots to enjoy the new year.
Yes, usually it's not a working day, it's a day people are supposed to rest.
Some residents say the reduced traffic and dry roads have made movement easier for those with vehicles, although it has been a bit difficult for people waiting for taxis to find transportation.
People are still celebrating the new year. This is the new year season, and several Abuja residents have traveled out. And then the few ones that remains are either indoor or just strolling around.
As the New Year celebration continues, Abuja residents remain hopeful and optimistic that by Monday, activities will be back to normal. But for now, the celebration continues. Ubong Usoro for Global Television News.
The Federal High Court in Abuja has fixed January 7 to rule on the bail applications filed by a former Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami SAN, and his son Abubakar Abdulaziz and his wife Bashir Asabe. Justice Emeka Winte today set the dates after a counsel for the defense, Joseph Daudu SAN, and counsel to the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Ekele Iheanacho SAN, adopted their processes and presented their arguments. The anti-graft agency accused the defendants of carrying out various suspicious transactions and attempting to conceal the unlawful origin of billions of naira through bank accounts and property acquisitions across Abuja, Kano, and Kebbi. The Nigerian Army troops conducting ongoing anti-kidnapping operations in Kogi State have rescued 5 abducted victims and recovered decomposing bodies during a clearance operation in Lokoja local government area. The troops drawn from Obajana and Kaba patrol bases reportedly projected a fighting patrol to Ankomi village in Andokolo general area of Lokoja local government area following credible intelligence. It was also reported that the patrol had discovered that the village previously occupied by bandits had been destroyed and abandoned. Nurses in Kaduna State have issued a strong warning of a possible statewide strike this year over the persistent failure of health authorities to conduct promotion exercises, a development that could disrupt healthcare services across the state if unresolved. The threat was contained in a New Year address by the chairman of the National Association of Nigerian Nurses and Midwives, Kaduna State Council, Comrade Nurse Ishaku Yakubu, who expressed growing frustration over what he described as deliberate neglect of nurses' career progression by the Ministry of Health and some of its parastatals. He warned that the union would no longer tolerate delays that undermine the professional growth and dignity of nurses. With the dawn of a new year, millions of people around the world are setting goals, reflecting on the past, as well as striving for personal growth. However, as we step into the future, are our resolutions changing? Are they evolving with technology, social trends, and our collective mindsets? Here is a report by Sadia Yakubu.
Across the globe, New Year's resolutions have traditionally centered on fitness, career goals, and personal happiness. But as we enter 2026, a new set of priorities is emerging.
My expectations should be, I'm expected to accomplish my goals. One of my goals is to train children, to help them become what I didn't become.
As technology continues to shape our daily lives, another resolution taking center stage is digital well-being. In 2026, many are looking to reclaim their time, focusing on unplugging from devices and setting boundaries with social media.
My New Year resolutions, as you can see, is to be happy with my family and to be a good citizen to Nigeria.
While some are trying to avoid technology, others are using it to help them achieve their goals. From AI-powered fitness app to visual health coaches, 2026 is bringing us a new tools to achieve personal growth. But is tech making it easier or harder to stick to our resolutions?
I want my prayer life to be very strong because I was not really prayerful in 2025. So in 2026, I want to be very prayerful.
As we look ahead to 2026, it is clear that New Year's resolutions are no longer just about personal goals. They reflect a growing awareness of global realities, from sustainability and digital balance to mindfulness and gratitude. People are setting intentions that align personal growth with a healthier, more conscious world. Sadia Yakubu, reporting for Global Television News.
Benue State Governor Hyacinth Alia has signed the 2026 appropriation bill into law, unveiling a spending plan aimed at repositioning the state's rural economy and driving inclusive growth. The budget prioritizes agriculture, infrastructure, and livelihood support. Correspondent Felicity Indere has the rest of the story.
Governor Hyacinth Alia has signed into law the 2026 budget of over 695 billion naira with an increase of about 89.5 billion naira from the initial amount of 605.5 billion naira presented. The appropriation bill, initially presented at 605.5 billion naira, was reviewed by the Benue State House of Assembly and increased to 696 billion naira after legislative scrutiny.
This budget will be implemented with discipline, compassion, and results in mind.
Presenting the bill for assent, the Speaker of the House, Alfred Biga, said the adjustments were made to reflect prevailing economic realities and the policy direction of the administration.
We dedicated our time and energy to make sure that we meet the deadline for the passage of the bill. So we have seen in the budget hope for Benue people. We have seen in it more development for Benue people, and the common man on the street will also benefit.
Speaking after signing the bill, Governor Alia said the budget tagged the budget of rural development, livelihood support and sustained growth is deliberately structured to address long-standing infrastructure deficits in rural communities.
This budget is rooted in the realities of our present and guided by the aspirations that bind us to a greater tomorrow. At the heart of Benue lies a strong rural foundation that feeds the nation, preserves our culture, and anchors on our path to inclusive growth. For decades, these rural communities carried the weight of neglect despite feeding the nation. And with this budget, we make a bold declaration. The era of rural neglect is over.
The 2026 approved budget has over 313 billion naira as recurrent expenditure, while an amount over 381 billion naira is for capital expenditure. In Makudi, Felicity Ndere, reporting for Global Television News.
We appreciate your reports and Felicity. Let's cross over to Imo State now, where the governor, Hope Uzodinma, has signed into law the 2026 appropriation bill estimated at about 1.4 trillion naira, describing it as a product of strong collaboration between the executive and the legislature. The signing ceremony was held at the new government annex, Olu. Marachi Ibe was there for Global Television.
Governor Uzodinma accepted the bill days after its passage by the Imo State House of Assembly, completing the constitutional process of checks and balance. Governor Uzodinma says the transition of the budget from estimates to law reflects democratic strength and commended the lawmakers for their diligence. He described the budget of economic breakthrough as ambitious, noting government's commitment to revenue generation, completion of ongoing projects, and sustained infrastructure development across the state.
So as a government, we work to generate the revenue and not spend the revenue. And you can see how ambitious this year's budget is, a signal that we must fasten our seatbelts to look for the money so we can spend the money for the people. So all the projects that are ongoing, critical projects in Imo State, we have no plan to leave anyone uncompleted before the end of our tenure.
Governor adds that the budget will boost small and medium-scale enterprises, attract investments, and strengthen revenue-generating agency. He thanked the president for providing the funds for states.
So these are the kind of things I want us to take note. And this budget is very comprehensive and detailed. This budget has taken care of, if well implemented, both the small and medium enterprises, local and foreign investors, and all the revenue generating agencies will have an environment to operate. This is the whole idea why it is called Budget of Economic Breakthrough. By the end of
The signing of the 2026 budget set the stage for a new fiscal year, with the state government expressing confidence that it will deliver measurable benefits to Imo residents. From the Government House Annex Olo, I'm Marachi Ibe, reporting for Global TV News.
Oh, thank you, Marachi. This is Global Television, and you're watching the live broadcast of a news cycle. When the rest of the broadcast returns, President Maduro says Venezuela, open to talks with the United States, stays silent on dog attack. Details coming shortly, plus business and sports stories for you. On the other side of this break, please do stay with us. Well, thank you so very much, everyone, for staying with us here on News Cycle on Global Television. The second part of these broadcasts now returns with business, where the federal government has unveiled a major fiscal blueprint aimed at accelerating economic growth, mobilizing investments, and creating more jobs this year in a concerted effort to stimulate rapid economic development. Minister of State for Finance, Dr. Doris Uzoka Anite, in a statement says the Federal Ministry of Finance would be the anchor for the comprehensive growth acceleration and investment mobilization strategy aimed at strengthening macroeconomic stability and positioning Nigeria as a premier destination for long-term foreign direct investment. The strategy document indicates that the government would focus on key policies and prioritize the President's administration's advances into the second wave of reforms focused squarely on unleashing accelerated economic growth, productivity, as well as capital formation. Budget Office of the Federation has defended the credibility of Nigeria's recently enacted tax reform acts. A statement signed by Director General of the Budget Office of the Federation, Dr. Taminu Yakubu, says the office has taken note of concerns raised by the minority caucus of the House of Representatives, stressing that the sanctity of the law is central to constitutional democracy and goes beyond procedural formality. In its defense, the office cautioned against what it described as governance by speculation and unverified claims following allegations that the laws were altered after passage. Still talking business, the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, has unveiled an ambitious 2026 agenda centered on mobilizing long-term capital to confront Nigeria's chronic infrastructure deficits. In a New Year message delivered in Abuja, the Commission's Director General, Dr. Emomotimi Agama, said the Commission will prioritize channeling patient capital into productive sectors like roads, construction, power, rail, housing, and agriculture. The new agenda is coming on the heels of the immediate past year that saw overwhelming reliance by corporates on short-term financing instruments such as commercial papers. On the foreign scene, the Democratic Republic of Congo has accused Rwanda of killing more than 1,500 civilians in the Congolese east since early December, when the Kigali-backed M23 militia launched a fresh offensive. In a statement, the Congolese government attributed this figure to civil society, confirmed by humanitarian sources and state services. Congolese authorities described the new wave of attacks as a clear act of aggression against national sovereignty and a serious and repeated violation of international law. Beyond Africa, Israel says 37 humanitarian agencies supplying aid in Gaza have not met a deadline to meet security and transparency standards, stating that they would be banned from the territory despite an international outcry. The international non-governmental organizations, which had been ordered to disclose detailed information on their Palestinian staff, will now be required to cease operations by March 1st this year.
The United Nations has warned that the action will worsen the humanitarian crisis in the war-ravaged Palestinian territory, with several NGOs saying the requirements contravene international humanitarian law or endanger their independence. Teresa Leibowitz, Deputy Director of Physicians for Human Rights Israel, believes that implementation of these regulations and adding additional obstacles on the affected organizations is part of efforts to weaponize the delivery of aid as part of a broader systemic dismantling of civilian life in Gaza.
On the people of Gaza, it has a direct effect. It means that international organizations that have expertise, that are known around the world for providing humanitarian aid, that have expertise in Gaza itself, that have the trust of the community there, that have connections, will no longer be able to do what they have done.
Israel says the new regulation aims to prevent bodies it accuses of supporting terrorism from operating in the Palestinian territories. A ministry list indicates that prominent humanitarian organizations hit by the ban include Doctors Without Borders, the Norwegian Refugee Council, World Vision International, and Oxfam. In Doctors Without Borders' case, Israel accused it of having 2 employees who were members of Palestinian militant groups Islamic Jihad and Hamas.
President of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro, says it is open to negotiating a deal with the United States to combat drug trafficking while remaining silent on a reported CIA-led strike on his country last week. He made the statement during an interview where he struck a more reconciliatory tone towards the U.S. amid Washington's months-long sanctions and military pressure campaign. President Maduro also announced the release of more than 80 prisoners accused of protesting his disputed victory in the 2024 election, the second such release in recent days. Zohran Mamdani has been sworn into office as New York's 111th mayor, the first to take office as a Democrat bearing the credentials of a democratic socialist. The 34-year-old was sworn in by Letitia James, the state attorney general, in a disused subway station beneath City Hall that acts as turnaround for the Local 5 train, to be followed by a first-of-its-kind public block party along Broadway's Cayon of Heroes.
Okay, it is now official. Thank you. Mr. Mayor, congratulations. Thank you so much.
Zohran Mamdani said it is an honor and the privilege of a lifetime as he announced and welcomed a new transportation commissioner for the city, Mike Flynn. Mamdani, the young upstart of the U.S. left, will take over as New York mayor for a term sure to see him cross swords with President Donald Trump. After the clock struck midnight, bringing in 2026, Mamdani took his oath of office at an abandoned subway stop to begin managing the United States' largest city.
Thank you so much for everyone for being here. Happy New Year to New Yorkers, both inside this tunnel and above. And I cannot wait to see everyone tomorrow as we begin our term. This is truly the honor and the privilege of a lifetime. And after just having taken my oath to become the mayor of the city of New York, I do so also here in the old City Hall subway station, a testament to the importance of public transit, to the vitality, the health, and the legacy of our city.
It, however, remains to be seen if Mamdani, virtually unknown a year ago, can deliver on his ambitious agenda, which envisions rent freezes, universal childcare, and free public houses. It, however, remains to be seen if Mamdani, virtually unknown a year ago, can deliver on his ambitious agenda, which envisions rent freezes, universal childcare, and free public buses. One flashpoint might be immigration raids as Trump wages an expanding crackdown on migrants across the United States, an issue over which the president and the new mayor do not share the same perspective.
A quick look at sports for you. The federal government has approved the release of 3 billion naira to support the Super Eagles' ongoing campaign, reaffirming its commitment to the national team's success on the international stage. The funds are expected to cover players' logistics, technical preparations, match bonuses, and other operational expenses as the team continues its competitive engagements. And that's a full cycle on the news here. Thank you so very much for watching. I am Uyi Agmofwegbe. I'll see you again.